Which country is happier, Paraguay or Denmark? Survey says both.
Every year, Gallup conducts a survey around the world, asking questions about how happy people are, whether they feel safe at night, whether they receive social support. And the United Nations publishes this data in their World Happiness Report. They divide the world into 6 different areas, one of them being Latin America and another being Scandinavia. In our Talk, we're going to look closer at those two because those contain the highest amount of happiness for how people see their lives and how the highest amount of happiness for how people live their lives.
I'm going to introduce you to 2 teens 7,000 miles apart. First, we have Adriana, a 16-year-old living in Paraguay. For the most part, she lives the life of an average teenager, going to school, doing chores at home. Her family isn't particularly poor compared to the rest of her village, but by means of any other country, it almost seems like an unfathomably low salary that her father makes. On the other hand, 18-year-old Malte lives in bustling Copenhagen, Denmark. He studies hard and plans to go on to a university, leading a very typical life for a youth in his position. They may seem like they're worlds apart, but the 2 kids have an interesting connection in that they're both considered happiest, despite their differences. So what kind of happiness are we seeing? Both Paraguay and Denmark top the charts for the happiest countries on Earth, but there's a key difference in what is actually considered happiness. How could this be possible? Surprisingly, when looking at 2 different surveys, the Gallup Report and the World Happiness Report, we found 2 very different results. To find out why this difference exists, you have to look deeper at how the 2 surveys measure happiness. The Gallup Report measures happiness using the Positive Experience Index, which asks people if they've had many positive emotions the previous day. So the Gallup surveys how happy are people living, while the World Happiness Report measures happiness considering economics, psychology, survey analysis, national statistics, health, public policy, and more. Basically, it measures how people see their life going.
In the Gallup survey, surveyees asked Scandinavians and Latin Americans how free they felt on a scale of 1 to 10. Surprisingly, Scandinavians felt less free than Latin Americans, and they felt that their government was more corrupt, even though that is not what data shows. Latin Americans also felt that their society was more generous than Scandinavians did. Latin Americans are more worrisome and almost twice as stressed as Scandinavians. However, levels of depression, sadness, pain, anger, and social support are similar between the 2 regions.
In Adriana and Malte's case, we're seeing 2 very happy individuals whose roots of their happiness happen to be very different based on their cultures. Adriana describes herself as getting the most out of every day, trying her best to be kind to her family and friends by giving a helping hand. She does say, however, that her lack of access to the finer luxuries has caused her to become slightly frustrated. Au contraire, Malte looked at things much more objectively. He says he has a healthy life, and therefore a healthy future as he tries to make a difference in his community. That's what gives him satisfaction. While Adriana prefers to live day by day in the present, Malte describes himself as always looking to the future, planning the path ahead.
When Gallup asked Scandinavians if they had health problems, they were more likely to say so than Latin Americans, even though the life expectancy of a Scandinavian is 5 years longer than that of a Latin American. As Scandinavians age, their happiness, enjoyment, laughter, smiling, whether they feel rested or interested in life, or whether they're safe at night, significantly decreases. However, in Latin America, these remain constant throughout the people's lives, even though the youth in Scandinavia are higher than Latin American youth in all of these categories.
So we have all the data, but does that actually give us a definitive answer? It's hard to say. Happiness means so many different things to different cultures that asking for one single answer is going to give you all sorts of conflicts. In the end, we can say that while both statistics provide useful information, neither can really tell if Malta or Adriana is happier, because can a human emotion really boil down to just a number? As long as you match your definition of happy, we're happy.